You've probably completed the Razelvarg fusion and you're wondering how you can use the champion, what is he good at, what sort of build to give him, what sort of masteries. Well, I'm gonna show you everything in today's video, so let's jump straight into it. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel, I'm Skratch. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we're gonna talk about Razelvarg. I finally completed the fusion myself, so we're gonna take him in for a spin. We're gonna see what's the best build for him, how broken can he be in a good build, what exactly he can do on our accounts. Of course, it's gonna be different for pretty much every single one of you guys out there, depending on where you are in the game, but we're gonna be able to kind of like see his full potential. We're gonna take him in for a spinning Hydra, we're gonna check what he can do on the Fire Knight, and kind of like share with you guys a couple of thoughts that I have about the champion, because he's very, very unique. So talking about Razelvarg, guys, he is very unique for the simple fact that he has this amazing passive that increases his speed up to 100. So each time he places an increased speed buff on the team, he's gonna get 5 speed for each one of the increased speed buff. So basically, if you're doing a full team of 5, you're gonna get 25 speed, 25 speed, 25, 25, up to 100, and that's gonna be added to the base. And then if you have speed sets, basically instead of having the base speed of 110, you're gonna have the base speed of 210, and everything else is gonna increase it. If I'm not mistaken, that's the way it works, which allows him to be the fastest champion in the game, basically. Now, with the A1, is a triple hitter. Each hit will fill this champion's star meter by 5%. Hopping mad. He's definitely hopping mad. The A2, Knight of the Rabbit. On a 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. Fully booked, has a 100% chance to place a leech debuff for 2 turns. And heals this champion by 10% of their max HP for each leech debuff placed by this skill. So that makes it great for waves, makes it great for content where there are a lot of enemies, like Hydra clan boss, for example, or if you're using him in a Doom Tower on a boss that has mobs with it as well. The A3, keep up if you can. On a 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies, places an increased speed buff and a 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns before attacking. Now, probably you've noticed his damage is based on attack and speed. There are only 2 other champions in the game, if I'm not mistaken, that have that. That's Rowan and Ghostborn. There might be some rares or uncommons that I can't remember, but there are not that many in the game. He has a speed aura for all battles, 20%, which is great, amazing for progression. So a lot of you guys are probably wondering, what can I do in the very, very end game with this champion? You can do Hydra clan boss, you can use him for the Fire Knight dungeon. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a decreased speed as well in the kit, and it's really hard to justify it and make use of him on a hard mode Fire Knight, but we're still gonna try it out so you guys can kind of like get an idea to see how he performs. Just because he can bring so much speed, I would expect him to kind of like overlap the boss and go almost on a 3-to-1 ratio. He should be going on a 3-to-1 ratio with the right speed. So that's the good part about the champion. Now, the best build in my opinion is Relentless for him, and the reason for it is because you get to keep that increased speed on your team pretty much all the time. So you just need an extra turn, you're increasing your speed faster. If you're building him on a reflex set or something else to kind of like get value from the A3 and constantly keep the increased speed and increased accuracy on your team, will be great, but it's not going to be as efficient. You can build him for damage in a Savage set if you want to get a bit of value as well and have him at some decent speed. He's not gonna hit that hard, so his multipliers are fairly decent, but nothing out of the ordinary, and I wouldn't waste the champion's skills and stuff just to build him for damage on a Savage set. That's kind of like my take on it. Then you can potentially build him on different sets, like if you wanna get a stun set on him, that can work too. The A1 is a single target. Okay, so it's not going to be an AoE. It's not necessarily the best thing to run a stun set, but you could potentially run a stun set because he has 2 other AoE attacks. So if you need some help in faction wars, if you need helps on the waves just to crowd control them, if you're progressing through the game, a stun set can work amazing as well. And you still want to kind of like prioritize the same sort of stats. You still want to have that full crit rate just to bring a bit of extra damage. You want to have the accuracy, speed, and then work on getting attack, getting HP, defense, crit damage, etc. Total stats on my Razelvarg, we have 31,000 HP, 5.1k attack, 2.2k defense, 245 speed, 100% crit rate, 237 crit damage. My faction guardians are maxed, my Great Hall is maxed, guys, so I already have some extra speed. If we're gonna check the selected area for the Fire Knight's castle, you see I already have 8 more speed in there, a bit of more accuracy, ignore defense, so quite a few things that can help us once we're gonna get to the Fire Knight. Masteries, we have offense and support tree. Now I was really debating one thing for the tier 6 masteries. Giant Slayer is much better for the A1, considering that we're gonna be so fast, we're gonna rotate skills so often. I felt like maybe War Master would be good for the A2 and A3 in Hydra, for example, you know. For the Fire Knight, I feel like the Giant Slayer is better, but yeah, it's kind of like me debating it. Lasting Gifts as well as tier 5 on the support tree. This is the weapon right here, if you guys want to have a look at the gear, how I managed to achieve these stats. Of course, I have glyphs on most of the gear, so that gives quite a bit of an extra boost in stats. That's the helmet. We have the shield right here. Crit damage gloves, speed, crit rate, HP, attack is kind of like a perfect glove, that one. Attack chest piece, this is a beautiful attack chest piece from Perception set. And I have speed boots, attack, flat attack, accuracy, crit rate, pretty much kind of like what we need. I do have a triple roll on attack on the ring. You see, I can still glyph quite a few stats on him. Crit damage amulet, perfect amulet. You have triple roll on attack, one on the accuracy, so that boosts a bit of accuracy. And I have an accuracy banner, prioritize speed on it just to make the champion as fast as possible. That being said, let's take him in for a spin on hard mode stage 10 onto the Fire Knight dungeon. So one thing to keep in mind with the Fire Knight, guys, is that he's not gonna be able to carry the rest of the team. I still need Valkyrie, Cardale to do their own things, I need Tomb Lord. I really wish that Razelvarg would have had decreased speed in his kit. That would have made the champion amazing for this dungeon, because I was gonna be able to drop Tomb Lord, have decreased speed and increased speed from Razelvarg. That would have made this team so much better. But unfortunately, they haven't really designed the champion for the Fire Knight dungeon. It might seem like it, but they actually haven't. So in terms of presets, you're going to be able to kind of like see the rest of the team has pretty disgusting stats. Like that's a lot of speed. Will be able to kind of like overlap the boss quite a bit. We have the Cold Heart right here, Razelvarg. So one thing that I do want to make sure is that I'm not going to use the A2 once I'm going to get at the boss. And I'm going to open with the A1 or the A3. Doesn't really matter actually, because I want to get the increased speed. The rest of the team is going to get to rotate a bit faster. But that being said, let's jump in, do a run with him, see a bit of the animations, the damage. We're getting the ally attack. Now, without having the increased attack, it doesn't do crazy damage. We don't have defense down on them, but still getting like a 40-50k hit on each one of the wave mobs here is actually great, because it does help us to kill the waves a bit faster, you know. So 30k, so let's just say 90k with the A1, which is definitely pretty good. His multipliers are a bit strange because his attack and speed, so everything is kind of like varying from there. Another AoE attack. So far we used the increased speed twice. We've already got 50 extra speed in the kit. So once we're gonna get at the boss, we should be like 400 plus speed, you know. That's kind of like what we need in order to overlap the boss and go on a 3-to-1 ratio. I might have to give him maybe 5 to 10 more speed to get him to the 3-to-1 ratio. I need to double check that. And I might have I might have to modify some other speeds on different champions, but I feel like it should be pretty spot on with what we're gonna have available in there, you know. Okay, so we managed to get the waves down in 1 minute and 14 seconds. Razelvarg helping quite a bit. He's not gonna be extremely tanky for this fight right here at the boss, so hopefully he's not gonna die. I wish that I was gonna glyph the rest of the gear on him just to get more defense and HP. Like you see, he's actually getting quite a bit of a spank in there. Quite a bit of a spank. If I would have a Phantom Touch on him as a blessing here, would be absolutely amazing. I don't think I would run Brimstone on him, honestly, for Hydra. Because of all the AoE attacks, it's so much harder to kind of like control where we're gonna put that that Brimstone, you know? So I still think that Phantom Touch might be the way to go. Okay, decrease the cooldown, beautiful. Decent damage there on the boss. We managed to land the heal reduction, so that's perfect. We have no counter attack on Tomb Lord, which shouldn't really be a problem. I want to see how many turns is Razelvarg taking. With the turn meter that he's getting as well from the A1, he should definitely be going in like a boss. So we managed to get one turn with him. Is he on a 3-to-1 ratio yet or no? Like, all that speed should be up and running on him. Okay, I don't think he's going to be on a 3-to-1 ratio, but seems like he is just on a 2-to-1 ratio at the moment. I might have to give him some more speed, or maybe he's just going to get another turn right now. Let's see. Yes, he is. Beautiful. So he is on a 3-to-1 ratio with the boss. The boss has 245 speed. So if I would want my Valkyrie to go on a 3-to-1 ratio, I would need her to be over 400 speed. Over 405 if I'm not mistaken. Which is just nuts, man. To be able to run your team like this and overlap the boss in this way. It's just a bit too crazy, you know? It's just not doable with most of the champions. Like, you need insane gear, and yeah, that's why I would have loved to have Razelvarg with increased speed and decreased speed, you know? We have Theodore that does that, but he's not as easy to set up. So I feel like if he would have had that in the kit, it would have been perfect for the Fire Knight, you know? Let me know your thoughts as well. What do you think? Have you tried to run him on the Fire Knight or not yet? You see, we're overlapping the boss pretty good. Like, having the increased speed makes a massive difference, and it does help quite a bit. The Relentless set is great too, because we're constantly getting the extra turns. We're getting more turn meter. We get to buff that increased speed and always have it on the team, you know, which is definitely very important to keep it running, you know. And there we go. Dropped a bit of more damage in there. And we should be able to get this boss down now that we're gonna drop the shield, you know. Brimstone is not very effective in here. I do have Brimstone on one of the champions. I can't remember on which one, but that's because I haven't changed it to a Phantom Touch or something that's a bit more beneficial for this particular dungeon, you know. I'm still not farming stage 10 very often on the Fire Knight. I'm just now really farming a lot of Fire Knight recently. It's just I don't really have the time to do it, and if we didn't had any crazy good events, you know, I find it pretty pointless. We got a decreased speed on him, which it shouldn't really be an issue. Cardiel is gonna get to cleanse probably now, or he might have another turn before cleansing. That's the issue with champions being so fast compared to the rest, you know, because you're overlapping your buffs as well and everything. So that can go in pretty crazy. But 5 minutes run. If I would have double Cold Heart Acrisia, this would be much faster. You see, like around 3 minutes. But still is actually a pretty good run. And if we're checking the damage, you see we have Cardiel with 1.9 million damage. He's built for a DPS, so he's gonna deal solid damage too. Cold Heart, enemy max HP, 2.7 million damage. And we have Razelvarg with 2.4, almost 2.5 million damage. So he's a bit shy on Cold Heart's damage, which is very impressive. I don't think this would be necessarily an amazing team to run on the Fire Knight Castle, but just as an idea, he is usable, and just being so unique, allowing him to go on a 3-to-1 ratio with the boss is actually very solid, and that's why I wanted to kind of like showcase the champion in here. That being said, let's move over to Hydra Clan Boss. So if we are talking about Hydra Clan Boss, guys, we're going to be able to use him for the increased speed, the increased accuracy, if needed, of course, on your team. If you want to have the leech to gain some extra healing for the rest of the team, is going to be great, especially for the damage dealers. This is going to be the team that we're gonna use. We're going to do a run on a Hydra hard mode. I'm not really going to stress with the Head of Torment to bring in an increased Shamael or anything else. I do have Cardiel to drop a cleanse every now and then. I have a defense down from Stag Knight and attack down. And of course we have the healing a bit from Arbiter and the rest from a Razelvarg. And of course Cardiel will offer us a bit of healing. But that being said, let's take them in for a spin. I do have Husk as a provoke champion. He's not gonna be as reliable on his own, most probably, but you know what? It doesn't matter that much. So let's drop some random HP burn and block buffs here. Maybe we're gonna land a cheeky provoke now. Seems like we haven't, so we're gonna get the cleanse on, which is fine. I'm gonna let it go on auto and get on from here, you know. But having the increased speed is gonna be great. He's gonna get to be so fast compared to the Hydra heads, for example. It's just crazy. And I'm very curious to compare his damage, maybe with Husk, for example, enemy max HP hitter, maybe even with Gallic, you know. Very, very curious to see. Love Supreme Gallic, guys. Like I've mentioned before, he is my favorite out of the 4 starter champions, the legendary versions, and I'm not backing down on it. 100% my favorite. 10x times better than the rest in my opinion, just because he's so fun for Hydra and for the rest of the content, you know. But let's see. This is gonna be a pretty straightforward key. We're not really gonna have any issues in here. We shouldn't have any issues. We're gonna hammer these heads down without having the champion to deal with fear and stuff. It's not a problem if you are able to deal enough damage fast enough to kill the heads, you know. You don't really need to worry that much about the provoke either. It's great to have it in, but it's not as important. You see, the Head of Torment is dead. The fear is gone. So having an Inquisitor Shamael, for example, here would be a waste of a slot, in my opinion, because you're just not gonna be able to do anything with him. He deals a bit of damage, but not such impressive damage on the Hydra like other champions, for example. What I wish I would have here is a better mischief target, for example, because you see he's stealing my buffs. Luckily, I do have Supreme Gallic, which puts the block buffs on the heads, which is pretty nice. The Leech helps a lot from Razelvarg, having that extra heal you can see when it pops on the screen as well with every single hit. Very, very nice. And of course, that increased speed gives us such a massive advantage, especially if you manage to have decreased speed on the heads and increased speed on your team. Is like totally a different game for any difficulty for any team, you know. Like it will allow you to rotate so much faster, deal so much more damage in a faster time, you know. So that's why it's so important to have those buffs and debuffs. That's why I'm gonna say it again. I know I've said it before, but I wish that Razelvarg would have had decreased speed in his kit as well. It would have been so much better for everyone, like 100% so much better, because he was gonna bring tons and tons of utility to any account. Like there are not many champions in the game that buff increased speed and land decreased speed as well, and to be kind of like good in content, you know. He's gonna be massive for progression. We're gonna take him in for a spin in arena as well, just so you guys can see how you can actually use Razelvarg in there. But he's definitely gonna be pretty interesting for arena. If you need a champion to buff increase accuracy, increase speed, so let's just say you have your Arbiter, you boost the turn meter, and you wanna have somebody else to come in with the rest, he's gonna do some decent work in there. But we almost managed to get to a 1 key heart. We're almost there. A couple of minions left, and I'm very curious to see kind of like their damage all around them. I'm so curious to see how they compare with the damage. Of course, enemy max HP a lot of times won't be able to kind of like compare with a regular nuker, but a lot of times a regular nuker will do more than an enemy max HP. So that's kind of like one thing that I really want to see. Like I'm super curious about it. This is the first time I'm using him in Hydra, you know. Having the relentless extra procs in there are great too. Being able to land the right buffs on your team, definitely pretty good. The A1 giving him the extra turn meter, allowing him to rotate even faster. That makes it even better too as a champion. So, by the way, we need 1 more million damage, a bit less than 1 million damage to reach the 1 key. I'm not gonna go all the way to do the key, because once you reach the max chest for each difficulty, is just a waste of time to even bother to attempt to keep more damage. It's fine if you're doing it for a record, your personal record or whatever, but I'm definitely not doing that. I wouldn't use this team honestly for it, but There we go. We reached the 1 key. I think it's 20.4 million damage if I'm not mistaken. Just gonna let them take one more spin here, one more turn. So that's a Husk. Razelvarg do another turn as well. See, decent procs on the Giant Slayer there, and we should be more than good with the damage now. It's like my mouse decided to die, so let me just quickly plug it in before it ruins all my run here. What a bad moment for the mouse to decide to go berserk on me. There we go. So we can actually back out. 22 million damage, more than enough. And battle, and let's see what we've got out of here. Razelvarg with 5.6 million damage. Cardiel with 3. Husk with 3.4 million damage. And of course, Stagnite 1.6. Supreme Gallic kind of like taking it to a different level. 8 million damage. But if you're looking at Razelvarg and you're looking at Husk, right? You see that Razelvarg actually beat Husk on a hard difficulty. Now, if we're going to Nightmare, I feel like Husk is gonna win there just because enemy max HP is more efficient. But Razelvarg brings increased speed, increased accuracy, you get the leech, and just raw damage next to it. Husk brings the provoke and the damage. So I definitely think that this is actually a pretty solid champion for Hydra clan boss. Let's move over and take him in for a spin in Arena. So let's just say you're going against a team that it might be a bit faster than your team, or they're gonna cut in between. Well, if you bring Razelvarg in, you're gonna get an increased speed. That's gonna help the rest of your team. You're not gonna get Thermeter for it to use it like a second Thermeter booster, but the increased speed is still gonna be efficient. And on top of it, you're gonna get the increased accuracy, which will help, for example, Madame Series. Will even help my Alika, who barely has any sort of accuracy, to maybe land this A3 increased cooldown of all enemy skills by 2 turns on some of his champions. Just as an idea, you know. So if we're gonna give it a quick go to see, we're gonna do a couple of more fights. But basically, what's gonna happen, even if you have bomb champions and you might need to bring the rest in, you use these, increase speed. Actually, you're gonna do the damage too. Seems like we killed them just with his damage without having to worry about the rest. It's not a very strong team because we are at the bottom of gold 5 at the moment. So the teams that we're gonna fight here are not gonna be too crazy. So let's just try to find a different team, something where they're a bit stronger, right? Like we want to see something a bit more powerful in terms of teams. This is gonna be a bit too fast for what I'm trying to do, but a team like this should be fine. We're gonna give it a go against here. Baron Foley. So we're still gonna go in the same way. I'm curious to see once he gets his turn, right? Is he actually gonna smack them or no? So we got that Thermeter. You see, that Arbiter is not able to cut on us. We're gonna get increased speed now and deal some damage as well. We almost one-shot his Arbiter. The good part is that now we killed their nukers, you know? So when you are getting the increased accuracy, the increased speed, you're gonna get to kill maybe one of their nukers, kind of like crippling the team by quite a bit, right? Like they're not gonna get to make a move, and then you're gonna be able to just clean up the rest of the champions. We got feared with him there, which is fine. We're still gonna kind of like attempt to go another round with him, even if we're going with the basic skill. Let's see. Strengthen is fine, pretty good damage considering that Lydia had Strengthen, and we don't have him built on a Savage or anything like that, so he's decent. Kind of like for this sort of level. He's not a Platinum champion because of Polymorph and many other things. We have Lady Kimi and other champions that do the job better for Platinum Arena. But for the lower tiers, how I mentioned, a lot of you guys will be progressing through the game. You'll be trying to do your tag team arena and stuff like this. He's definitely gonna fit just fine in some teams if you need that extra boost for accuracy and the rest of the stats. But guys, that was pretty much everything for this video. Razelvarg for the win. The #1 build in my opinion is still gonna be Relentless just for general use. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. How are you using the champion? What exactly you're doing with him? Yes, there are some interesting clan boss teams out there with him in there, but I don't really feel like he is enabling anything extremely easy to achieve, extremely special that is not achieved with other champions. You still need a double man-eater, you still need a Demetas, you still need the rest of the things, so I'm not really gonna stress of doing a clan boss team with him. But that was all for this video. Much love, appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.